Welcome back, strangers. The Hampton Court Palace originally began construction in 1514 under King Henry VIII. Located in Greater London, it was expanded under King William III and was intended to rival the Palace of Versailles. This renovation destroyed much of the original Tudor Palace and is believed to have stirred up the restless spirits of the palace's past. Today is one of the most haunted locations in England. It is open to the public and is a major tourist attraction, but is also famous for the numerous paranormal encounters that have occurred inside. On 3 consecutive days in winter of 2003, the Hampton Court Palace security were called to close a fire door near the clock court after the fire alarm went off when the door mysteriously opened. The security guards rushed to the area, but each time they found the doors closed and no one nearby. On the first day, CCTV footage showed the doors flying wide open with great force, but there was nothing on camera to show what caused it. On the second day, the same thing happened, but this time a phantom figure in old-fashioned clothes suddenly appeared and closed the doors. The doors opened again on the third day, but there was no sign of the ghostly figure. The incident hasn't happened since, but no one has come forward to admit that it was just a strange prank. The security guards and palace staff couldn't explain what happened with the doors or who the ghostly figure was. On the second day, a visitor wrote in the palace's guest book that she thought she had witnessed a ghost in that same area. The CCTV footage of the figure caught the attention of the world's media with reports in newspapers, on TV, and the radio. It went viral before the age of social media, and the ghostly figure was nicknamed Skeletor. Strangers, who do you think Skeletor was? A ghost, a prank, or evidence that the paranormal encounters reported at the Hampton Court Palace are real? The palace is believed to be haunted by 2 of King Henry VIII's wives. His third wife, Jane Seymour, who died from post-birth complications in 1537, often appears as a sad white wraith carrying a lighted taper. She delivered Henry's son, Prince Edward, but she still lost her life. Henry VIII was devastated by the sudden loss of his perfect queen. A pale figure is often seen on the Silver Stick stairs that once led to the room in which Jane gave birth and died. She is most often witnessed on the anniversary of Edward's birth in October. Henry VIII's fifth wife, Catherine Howard, also haunts the palace and is a much more active and tortured soul. Catherine was beheaded in 1542 for adultery and treason. She was only 19 years old when she was arrested at Hampton Court Palace. She managed to break free from the king's guards and ran screaming down the long hall that is now known as the Haunted Gallery. She screamed for her life, begging her king for mercy. However, she never reached Henry. The guards caught her and dragged her away as she was still screaming and pleading for forgiveness. She never got to see Henry before her execution. It is believed that her ghost is stuck repeating this heartbreaking journey through the palace each night, screaming for forgiveness and mercy that will never come for all eternity. The best-selling postcard at Hampton Court Palace in the early 20th century was that of a phantom that was photographed in the horn room of the palace. Many believe that the photo managed to capture the poor tortured soul of Queen Catherine. However, the photo is most likely a hoax, the result of a double exposure that was offered as proof of the paranormal and used to help to promote the palace as it quickly became a popular tourist destination. Visitors and staff often report encountering the Grey Lady, a mysterious phantom who is believed to be Sybil Penn, who was a servant to 4 Tudor monarchs and the wet nurse to Edward VI. Sybil never left the side of whoever she was serving. In 1562, she nursed Queen Elizabeth I through smallpox, and the Queen made an amazing recovery. Unfortunately, poor Sybil caught smallpox and died shortly after. She was buried in the nearby Hampton Church graveyard because of her life as a loyal servant to the crown. Sybil's spirit rested easy in the tomb at the old church until it was renovated in 1829. Shortly after the renovations, people began witnessing the Grey Lady roaming the corridors of the state apartments at the palace. Sybil's spirit is also linked to strange noises that were heard coming from behind a wall in one of the Grace and Favor apartments. Local legends say that the noises were from an old spinning wheel, heard coming from behind the wall. When the wall was finally removed, they discovered what remained of a very worn-out spinning wheel. Do you think poor Sybil was still trying to use the old spinning wheel to help her monarchs long after her passing? 2 male skeletons were discovered in shallow graves under a cloister in Fountain Court during a routine excavation in 1871. An elderly woman living in a nearby Grace and Favor apartment was greatly relieved when the skeletons were unearthed. She had complained of always hearing a constant knocking and banging on her walls, but no one had believed her. Yet the strange knocking had ceased once the skeletons were removed and properly interned elsewhere. The old woman said that the stupid Board of Works has at last found the two wretched men who had been haunting me for years. For hundreds of years, the palace has brought strange feelings and sensations to those who enter its walls. Writer William Holden Hunt described Hampton Court Palace in 1897 as a world invisible or half-known, where imagination and tradition vie to bring forth strange noises and mysterious presences. Some have suggested that the mysterious skeletons were buried in unmarked graves before the Wren building was built over top their unknown graves in 1689. They may have been victims of Roundhead terror during the English Civil Wars between 1642 and 1651. On the same day in 1999, during two separate tours, two different women visiting the palace fainted in the exact same spot in the haunted gallery after saying they felt overwhelmed and lightheaded. In 2000, psychologist Richard Wiseman conducted an experiment inside the palace to prove that the ghosts were all in the minds of the individuals. He brought volunteers who were either self-proclaimed believers or non-believers in the paranormal. He told both groups to record any unusual experiences they had while he let them wander freely through the palace. Richard Wiseman hoped to prove these spooky sensations were the result of personal belief and coincidence. Yet, strangely enough, both groups of believers and non-believers reported having experiences in the haunted gallery and the Georgian rooms, two of the most active areas in the palace, despite whether the person reporting the encounters knew of the legends or not. You never know what you might experience inside the old palace, whether you're a believer or a skeptic. Strangers, would you spend the night alone in the Hampton Court Palace? Let us know in the comments below. They do ghost tours each month. Check out the description for a list of upcoming tour dates. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and share this video with a friend or a stranger on the internet. And as always, stay strange.